Priest. That's a very interesting word. It's an intimidating word as well. If there are all kinds of connotations around what this means. I think of several. I think first of all, I think of Catholic priest. Then I think of Hindu priests or Tibetan monks or priests there. Characters from an Indiana Jones movie that's sacrificing children, like the Temple of Doom. I think of, those kind of characters. I typically do not think of myself as a priest. Just saying. I know some people who come out of Catholic background will call me father. It's kind of a little weird. When I killed a snake once, my wife called me daddy. That's a whole other strange conversation we won't have. I'm a pastor. So even it's hard for me to wrap my head around this whole thing about priest. And the word or the title really makes itself something it's not supposed to be. A priest is someone who represents God before people and represents people to God. Now, it also could mean this. I kind of looked up the word. It also could be a mallet you use to kill a fish. That's called a priest. Okay, who knew? Now you do. So that really helps you, right? But let's use that first definition, and let's don't be a mallet used to kill fish, okay? Let's talk about how we can be priests for one another. Listen to this. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellence of him who called you out of darkness to his marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. That's 1 Peter 2, 9 through 10. You see, we are chosen by God in his sovereignty and to become like him. And he wants us to be representing him before people, belonging to God so we can display God's love to people. Now, called out of darkness into light is a classic comparison of evil and good, darkness and light. We were once not a people because we were in the darkness. Now we've been brought into the light, and we are the light, the hope of the world. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Now, because of this, we become representatives. As priests, what we do is represent God to people and be a part of the reconciliation process of God. So, and we have individual priesthood. I don't need to go to someone to confess. I can go right to God to confess. So can you. I have a mediator between me and God. That's Jesus. I don't need another mediator. I don't need another priest. I don't need a high priest. I have a high priest. So it's just changed the way I am because of my relationship with Jesus. Now, with all that said, what are we to do? Listen to this. All this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, Christ was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against him, and entrusting us the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us. We implore you on behalf of God, Christ to be reconciled to God. Now, I used that on the weekend as we talked about Jesus, our high priest. We are to be intercessors. We are to be ambassadors. We are to be reconcilers. We are to represent God to people by our own personal holiness, not our legalism, but our desire to be full of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. By our love, they will know we're Christians. By our love, not by our legalism. And then leading people and helping people to be right with God by sharing our hope story, our Jesus story, as we talked about in week 1. So these require commitments. All of these require commitments. Your commitment will reveal your character, and you will not grow until you're committed. You won't. If we commit ourselves to be a church of priests representing God to people and people to God, if we commit ourselves to do that, the world could be forever changed. I can't make you do this. I can't. But we can influence our church culture to become a church of priests, that we are ambassadors for Christ. We could do that together. We could lean into the building lives process of next steps of connecting, growing, serving, and sharing. This is producing the priesthood of the believer, being solely competent for who you are. You can see yourself as God sees you, and he sees you as a priest, as a reconciler. That means we can become a people, a church of priests, by living all for Jesus, and we do it together. Have a great discussion. I hope this helps.